Hello, you are listening to the Natural Healing Show for UK Health Radio. I'm your host, Catherine Carrigan, medical intuitive healer, Amazon #1 best-selling author. You can find out more about me and my work at catherinecarrigan.com and unlimitedenergynow.com. While you're there, definitely sign up for my newsletter so you can learn even more about how you can heal yourself naturally. Now, I'm going to be talking with you today about how to heal a damaged metabolism. And I want to share with you that I am producing this show for you because one of my listeners specifically asked me to explain more about this subject. So you're going to learn more about how you can heal your metabolism. So first of all, let's get a big background on all this. So first of all, what is actually your metabolism? So the best way to think about your metabolism is that it's the sum total of the building up and the breaking down processes in your body. Now, if you're alive, you are aging. Like I'm now 65, so I'm a year older than I was a year ago, okay? And so if you're alive, you're aging, and the breaking down processes happen almost automatically. So the real question is, are you building yourself up? Are you doing the things that maintain your health? Now, what does it mean to have a healthy metabolism? When you have a healthy metabolism, then the sum total of the building up and the breaking down processes stay balanced, okay? And when you're maintaining a healthy metabolism as you age, there's lots of benefits for that. It's easy for you to maintain a healthy weight. You maintain a high level of health and vitality. Now, we're talking today about how to heal a damaged metabolism. So what does it mean to have a damaged metabolism? So first of all, according to Dr. Diana Schwartzbein, who's a medical doctor endocrinologist, about 20 to 30% of people under the age of 35 and about 70 to 80% of people over the age of 35 have a damaged metabolism. So what does it mean to have a damaged metabolism? That means that you're breaking down and aging fast, and you're breaking down faster than you're building up. Now, what are the signs that you have a damaged metabolism? So some of the big signs you have a damaged metabolism are that you're in a state of adrenal burnout, and there's 3 stages of adrenal burnout. And I covered this at length in my book, Unlimited Energy Now. So if you're in adrenal burnout, if you're in a state of exhaustion, I highly recommend that you read or listen to the audiobook version of my book, Unlimited Energy Now. I wrote it for people who are exhausted. So if you're too tired to read, you can listen to it, but it really breaks down the 3 phases of adrenal burnout and what you need to do to heal your adrenals and restore your energy naturally. And then we have, many people have heard of type 2 diabetes. There's also type 1 diabetes. Many people are diagnosed with type 1 diabetes early in life. So if you have insulin resistance or adrenal burnout, then you definitely have a damaged metabolism. Other signs of a damaged metabolism include inability to lose weight, no matter how little you eat or how hard you exercise or how long you exercise. And I have to step back because I have, at this juncture, I have 31 years experience in natural healing. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm 65 years old. This is my hair. I don't dye my hair. This is my body. Nothing is cut off, added to, or injected. I do wash my hair and use good skincare, but I am a real person, and this is what you can achieve naturally. Now, I remember years ago, I would have clients come to me and they would literally be weeping. and they would bring me their food diaries. They'd show me how little they ate. They would show me their exercise diaries, and they would show me how hard they were working out. And they were just crying because no matter how hard they exercised, how long they exercised, or how little they ate, they couldn't lose weight. And it was for dealing with clients like that I went to study in person with Dr. Diana Schwartzbein. Now, who is Dr. Diana Schwartzbein? Dr. Diana Schwartzbein is the author of many books, including the Schwartzbein Principle 2. She's an endocrinologist, so that means she's a hormone expert, and she's really an expert in helping people restore their metabolism. So I studied in person with Dr. Schwartzbein. There's a lot of tests when you study with her, and I am a certified Schwartzbein practitioner. So I studied with Dr. Schwartzbein in response to listening to people who were not able to lose weight, no matter how little they ate or how hard they exercised. Other signs that you have a damaged metabolism include arthritis, abnormal cholesterol, if you're hypothyroid, if your thyroid function is slowed down, if you have chronic depression, early menopause. So in the US, the average age of menopause is 51 years old, but many women go into early menopause because they've depleted their adrenal glands. And before menopause, your adrenal glands make a certain amount of your sex hormones. So when you stress yourself out from overworking, starving yourself, and often exercising too hard in efforts to be thin, then you can put yourself into early menopause. Migraine headaches are signs of damaged metabolism. PMS, when you have really hard periods, when you really suffer through your period. Sleep apnea, ulcers, excessive fatigue requiring bed rest, or stimulants, like you've got to take stimulants to get through the day. You're living on caffeine and sugar and maybe other stimulants, not so healthy, just to make it through the day. Heartburn requiring daily medication. Chronic insomnia is a sign of damaged metabolism. Leaky gut syndrome, because again, if you go through a severe chronic stress, that can affect the health of your GI tract. Crohn's, colitis, hypoglycemia, low blood sugar. I used to have low blood sugar. Polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS, and chronic severe constipation. So these are just some of the signs that you have a damaged metabolism. Now, again, if you are listening to this broadcast and you feel that you have a damaged metabolism based on some of the symptoms that I have just mentioned, there's 2 books that I recommend that you read. The first is my book, Unlimited Energy Now, because it's going to explain to you how to get out of adrenal burnout. And even if you don't have a family history of diabetes, and even if you're not technically insulin resistant, you can cause yourself to have trouble with the metabolism of sugar if you are chronically stressed, okay? And then the second book that you want to read, Dr. Diana Schwartzbein, MD, has written many books, but the one that I recommend that you read to heal your metabolism is the Schwartzbein Principle Book 2. And I work with clients all over the world to help you identify where you're at with your metabolism and also what you need to do to get better. Now, Dr. Schwartzbein talks about 4 metabolic types. So what are the 4 metabolic types? The first one is you're insulin sensitive, which means that your insulin works well. And we all want to have, again, you want to be insulin sensitive. And healthy adrenals. So that's the goal, is to get to the point where your body handles sugar properly and you're not in a state of adrenal wipeout. Then there's insulin resistant with healthy adrenals. Let me get this right. Insulin sensitive, healthy adrenals. Insulin resistant with healthy adrenals. Then there's burned out adrenals, which is burned out adrenals with healthy insulin, which is what I find in working with clients all over the world. Most of my clients who are having trouble with damaged metabolism are either in this third phase where you've burned out your adrenals through years of chronic stress, but your insulin is still working properly, or the absolute worst, which is where you absolutely don't want to get, is burned out adrenals with insulin resistance. All right. Now, I have to share with you, I like to give very simple analogies that people can understand. So years ago, I came up with this little story to help you understand insulin resistance. So let's say I have a box of donuts. Who doesn't like donuts? They're junk food. Okay, fine, fair enough. We know they're not that great for you, but everybody likes donuts. So let's say I take a box of donuts to my neighbors and I ring the doorbell and I say, I've got a box of donuts for you. The first time I come, they'll be like, oh, that's so sweet. Thank you. They'll take the box of donuts. Maybe they'll eat some, maybe they won't, but they'll let them in the door. But let's say, on the other hand, I'm a complete nut, and for whatever reason, I bring boxes of donuts to my neighbor every day, once a day, twice a day, 3 times a day. After a while, the neighbor is going to be like, wait a minute, I don't need this many donuts. When you are insulin resistant, what happens is the cells of your body stop being able to let the sugar in, literally. And they don't want any more sugar. They've had too much sugar. And when you have eaten too much sugar for years on end, too much sugar every day, once a day, twice a day, 3 times a day, your body can become insulin resistant. So that's my simple little story that explains insulin resistance. Now, there's 3 hormones that help to govern your metabolism. And I feel that if you want to heal a damaged metabolism, it's really important for you to understand the key players, all right? Because if you understand what are the key players and you keep those in balance, then you can begin to heal your metabolism. So the 3 hormones that govern your metabolism are your 2 stress hormones, cortisol and adrenaline, okay? And then the insulin, which, as I explained earlier, manages your sugar handling, okay? And the hormone that you have the most control over is actually your insulin, because you get to decide what you put in your mouth every day. Sometimes in life, there's outside stressors that you may not have any control over. Maybe you lose your job. Maybe your child is very sick. Maybe you have a lifetime of childhood abuse and you've gone through decades of stress. So whatever reason, that as you bring your stress hormones under control and your insulin into greater balance, as you balance your stress hormones and balance your insulin, you can begin to heal your metabolism. Now, what happens to many of us is, one of the signs, as I mentioned, that having a damaged metabolism is you have a really hard time losing weight. So when people have a hard time losing weight, they go on all kinds of crazy diets. They stop eating, they fast, they go on low carb diets or no carb diets or no fat diets, or, you know, fill in the blank. I remember clients coming into my office and they said, I have every diet book you have on my shelf, on your shelf, and I still can't lose weight. So if you've been going on crazy diets, one of the things that you have to understand is if you go on a crazy diet, if you don't get enough carbohydrates or you don't get enough fat, right? I've had clients who've eaten almost no fat for decades, and that damages their metabolism. So when you go on a series of crazy diets, that alone can damage your metabolism. So you're trying to get your weight under control, and what's happening is you're making it harder and harder for yourself to achieve your ideal size. Now, with that, let's take a break and listen to a commercial sponsor here at UK Health Radio. I'm your host, Catherine Carrigan, medical intuitive healer, Amazon #1 bestselling author. You can find out more about me and my work at catherinecarrigan.com. And I'm also a certified Schwartzbein practitioner. So I've studied and practiced this work that we're talking about, healing a damaged metabolism, for years. We'll be right back. So you're not 22 anymore. It's harder and harder for you to maintain your ideal size. You're listening to this broadcast and you're listening to the symptoms that I mentioned, and you think, gosh, I may have a damaged metabolism. And then you may have heard about these 4 different metabolic types, and you wonder, am I insulin resistant? Do I have burned out adrenals? And then you've tried the crazy diets. I've had lots of clients who've lost 50 pounds, gained 70, and you're sick and tired of yourself. The constant dieting is making you exhausted, depressed, and frustrated. And you're tearing your hair out. It's like, what do I do? How can I achieve my ideal size without starving or overexercising? So Dr. Schwartzbein, the endocrinologist, has come up with 5 steps to heal your metabolism. So I'm going to give you the overview on this, and then we're going to be talking in greater detail about how to do this. The first step is healthy nutrition. And when I work with people, I've got menu plans and snack plans and, great detail on what this means to have healthy nutrition. A lot of people don't think they know what healthy eating is and really have no idea. So healthy nutrition may include supplements to help balance your metabolism and also addressing food sensitivity. So as a medical intuitive healer, I help people identify what foods are not agreeing with your body right now. So there's a difference between a food sensitivity and a food allergy. In order for you to have a food allergy, you have to have an immunoglobulin reaction to a food. You may not have a food allergy, but you may have a food sensitivity, which is where the foods that you're eating may be aggravating certain organs, like your small intestine, like your liver, like your large intestine. So now, step 2 to heal your metabolism includes stress management, including sleep. Because once you wrap your head around the fact that your stress hormones, adrenaline and cortisol, are 2 major factors in your metabolism and also your thyroid function, when you really wrap your head around that, then maybe you don't need to join a boot camp. Maybe you need to take up meditation. And a personal story, I remember one year I started a meditation practice, and a best friend of mine in Savannah, where I grew up in Savannah, Georgia, saw me about a year later, and she's like, oh my God, Catherine, what did you do? Well, my belly flattened out through meditation. So you have to understand that hormones govern where you hold fat in your body. And if you can put your hand over your belly button And if you're holding extra fat over your belly button, that is actually stress fat. So if your cortisol is out of balance, you're probably holding extra body weight around your belly button. If you hold extra body fat around the iliac crest, that is a sign of insulin resistance. And I have studied with Olympic strength coaches, and Olympic strength coaches use body calipers and measuring fat areas in different parts of your body, and can tell you which hormones in your body are out of balance, not through hormone testing, but through body caliper testing. So, for example, most of us women don't develop ripped biceps because that is an area governed by your testosterone. And many women hold extra fat around our thighs and our buttock area because when you're estrogen dominant, you tend to hold body fat in those areas. So stress management includes sleep. So as you lower the stress hormones, cortisol and adrenaline, and you stop driving your body like a car, and you realize that every time you exercise where your heart rate is consistently over 100 beats a minute, that you're pushing your adrenaline and pushing your cortisol, and you rethink how you're living your life, then you can begin to heal your metabolism. Now, step 3 is tapering off toxic chemicals. So we're going to be talking about this. So toxic chemicals affect the function of all your organs, okay? So this is illegal drugs, as well as alcohol, caffeine, and sugar. Now, step 4 is hormonally balanced exercise. And many people who are not well informed, they focus more on the calorie aspect of exercise. In other words, like if I go running, I might burn more calories than if I walk. But if you understand the hormonal effect of exercise, the hormonal benefits of exercise are often more powerful than the number of calories that you burn. So we're going to be talking about what is hormonally balanced exercise. So the way you need to exercise at age 45 or age 55 or age 65 with a damaged metabolism is probably very different from the way you might exercise if you were 22 years old with a healthy metabolism. And then step 5 is hormone replacement therapy if necessary. So here we are at the Natural Healing Show. I don't do drugs. I just explain to people how to be healthy naturally. And I'm 65. I don't take drugs. But when you have a damaged metabolism, if your insulin's out of balance, if you're in menopause and you're going through a big change in your life, you may need to talk to your doctor about what to do to balance your hormones. Now, the first step, and I have this organized for you. So I'm going to actually be talking about sleep first. And, we all have our strengths and weaknesses. And for me, one of my biggest challenges is getting enough sleep. So I am a major fan of a Whoop. I'm wearing a Whoop. And a Whoop is a fitness device that gives you way too much information on all kinds of subjects. But one of the things a Whoop does is that it actually records how well you sleep, how well you sleep, how deep you sleep, how many hours of sleep you got last night. And then it helps you to stay balanced. It'll give you a daily reading. If you're red, you're not fully recovered from yesterday. If you're yellow, you're partially recovered, and green means you're fully recovered. So I wear Whoop, WHOOP, raving fan of a Whoop. And part of the reason that I wear a Whoop is that I want to keep myself balanced every day. So I want to make sure that I get enough rest and that I'm fully recovering. I teach yoga 9 times a week. I walk my dog once a week. I go to the gym and lift weights. So I want to make sure that I'm sleeping. And If you can't sleep well, you may want to consider natural healing remedies. So some basic ones to start with are calcium and magnesium at night. You may want to consider inositol or 5-HTP. Many people are overdosing on melatonin. And if you study sleep experts, you really don't want to take more than 5 milligrams a day of melatonin. And many people, melatonin is not appropriate. So some of these other supplements like magnesium, one of the most abundant minerals in the body, will help relax your nervous system and help you move your bowels. They're pretty safe supplements to start with. Now, what are toxic chemicals? So why is it critical to taper off toxic chemicals when we want to heal our metabolism? So the toxic chemicals that you want to taper off include tobacco. Okay, so most of us who follow natural healing, we already know it's not a great idea to smoke cigarettes or cigars. They can absolutely kill you, contribute to lung cancer, but they are also going to affect your metabolism because they're very toxifying for your body. They're going to overload your liver and your detox systems, which are part of your metabolism. Alcohol, right? Alcohol is very high in sugar, will absolutely affect your liver. Earlier, I talked about how where you hold fat in your body is indicative of hormonal imbalances. And if you have an extra roll of fat above your belly button, that is a liver roll, okay? So if you're holding extra body fat above your belly button, that's a liver roll, and that is a good sign that your liver may be too stressed. So one of the things you want to do for your liver is stop toxic chemicals, stop the tobacco, pull back on the middle of the road on alcohol, right? And if you're drinking more than 14 alcoholic beverages a week, you may have a problem with addiction. And if you have a problem with addiction, you may need to work with people who can help you to deal with that. Many people have a family history of alcoholism or addiction in their family, and there's deeper issues there to address. MSG, monosodium glutamate. I remember years ago, I did food sensitivity testing at a health fair at a gym. Everybody there was incredibly healthy, and literally every single person that I tested was reacting to MSG. MSG is a known neurotoxin. And I remember years ago interviewing experts actually on my first radio show, and scientific research show that rats who eat MSG do not lose weight no matter how much exercise they get. So if you're listening to this broadcast and you think, I'm doing a lot right, and many of my listeners are very serious about their health, and you may be eating well and resting well and keeping yourself in balance. But if you're eating MSG, realize that that alone may be inhibiting your weight loss. And it's a known neurotoxin. It's terrible for your brain. So MSG, you absolutely want to avoid MSG. And I also want to mention glyphosate. So glyphosate is also known as Roundup. Many people use Roundup in their gardens to kill weed. I have a beautiful garden. It's 100% organic, no glyphosate. Glyphosate will kill you. It's a known carcinogen, and it's also a known neurotoxin. Other artificial toxic chemicals that you want to taper off, artificial sweeteners, your MSG, I mentioned MSG, your aspartame, your sweet and low. You want to get off all of that stuff. And then finally, sugar and caffeine. So as you start cleaning up your diet and eliminating tobacco, alcohol, MSG, artificial sweeteners, sugar, and caffeine, and getting the glyphosate out of your diet, you're going to start healing your metabolism. Now, over the years, in my 31 years experience in natural healing, I've helped clients get off literally almost every drug you can imagine. And one of the secrets to helping people get off toxic chemicals is you've got to give them a substitute, right? And what you want to do is, if you're listening to this broadcast and realize, okay, I've got a problem with tobacco, well, then you use patches, inhalers, sprays, or gum. Let's say you have a problem with hard liquor. Well, you want to step it down to wine or beer. Let's say you're doing artificial sweeteners. We'll switch to stevia or honey. Let's say you have a problem overdoing the sugar. And like, the story that I told, you're bringing too many donuts to your cells 3 times a day. Well, switch to fruit. If you're doing too many caffeinated sodas, which are super hard on your digestive system, switch to tea. And green tea or white tea, they're loaded with antioxidants and have a lot of phytochemicals that are going to be actually good for you. Or caffeinated diet sodas, switch to different teas. Or when I have people who are doing a lot of diet sodas, I'll have them take unsweetened cranberry juice, stevia, and either flat or sparkling water, fizzy water, and it's a great substitute for the diet soda. So you're getting something a little bit sweet, the stevia, and you're getting the bubbly water or the flat water. And then cranberry juice is so awesome for your kidneys. Or you can juice some fresh organic lemons. And lemon juice is super great for your liver. And with that, let's take another break and listen to a message from one of our commercial sponsors here at UK Health Radio. My name is Catherine Carrigan, medical intuitive healer, and talking with you today. I've spent years helping people heal a damaged metabolism. So let's talk about some key aspects of diet. Now, many people are well aware that if they eat too many carbohydrates, they're not going to lose weight and maybe even possibly gain weight, right? But if you reduce your carb metabolism too low, if you take in too few carbohydrates, that alone will damage your metabolism, right? So Dr. Diana Schwartzbein, hormone expert, these are guidelines that come from her. So if you're a person with type 2 diabetes, you want to keep your carb intake to about 100 grams per day. If you have type 1 diabetes, which is the type that a lot of people get diagnosed with in childhood, you want to stick to around 125 grams per day. If you have a damaged metabolism, but you're not insulin resistant, which is a large cohort of my clients, you want to work on about 125 grams of carbs per day. If you have a healthy metabolism, you want to go to about 150 grams of carbs per day. And if you're hypothyroid, you want to stick to about 125 grams per day. Now, ideally, what you want to do with your carbs is you want to have, in a perfect world, about 3 meals a day and 2 snacks. So by spreading your carbohydrates out throughout the day, you're going to help maintain a healthy metabolism. So I'm not a fan of intermittent fasting. I find that does not work well with people with damaged metabolism, and that you're better off sticking to small amounts frequently. So for example, if you have healthy insulin, so you're insulin sensitive, but you have burned out adrenals, if you do 25 grams of carbs through 5 times a day, like little bits throughout the day, you're going to actually help to heal your metabolism and you're going to maintain good energy throughout the day. So a good acronym to remember is that when you eat meals, you want to have a PFVC meal. So what does a PFVC meal stand for? Protein, fat, vegetable, and carbohydrate. Now, of course, there's a lot to this. I'm giving you the overview. I've got menu plans, right? And we'll talk more in detail about that. Now, let's talk about hormonally balanced exercise. So what happens for so many people who are having trouble with their weight, they think, okay, I've got to get moving. And then they go and they do what Dr. Schwartzbein refers to as stimulating exercise. So if you're jogging, if you're joining a boot camp, if you are doing intense exercise where your heart rate is over 100 beats a minute, your body is secreting the adrenaline and cortisol, and you may actually be lowering your metabolic rate through intense training. So I've had many clients come to see me who are struggling with their weight. They're considering joining a boot camp, and I tell them, if you join a boot camp, you're just going to injure yourself and gain more weight. They don't believe me. They joined the boot camp, gained 10 pounds while running up and down the mountain, and then tear some tendon. So you have to, what you have to do is you have to gear your exercise to your metabolic type, okay? And that's part of what I help you to do. Now, calming and flexibility exercise, this is the kind of exercise that we can all do no matter what your metabolic type is. So calming flexibility exercise includes walking where your heart rate remains below 90 beats a minute. So you're not pumping out the stress hormones, okay, when you exercise. Slow swimming where your heart rate is below 90 beats a minute. Stretching, yoga, tai chi, and qigong. And again, at age 65, I teach yoga 9 times a week. I have a better body than I did when I was 40. and I feel good and have great energy. So adaptive resistance exercise can also be beneficial, and this includes strength training and strength-focused yoga, Pilates, ball and band work, core and light weights. But again, if you want to become a triathlete, make sure you're starting with a healthy metabolism and make sure that you're keeping yourself balanced with adequate rest and recovery, or you're going to actually be driving down your metabolic rate. I remember years ago, I was running and I got my metabolism scientifically tested. And they told me at the time that if I ate more than 1,200 calories a day, I would gain weight. They said, stop running and walk. And I stopped running and I walked and everything got better. So again, you've got to, it's so critical that you gear your exercise to your metabolic type. Otherwise, you're going to be pushing yourself out of balance because you're pushing your adrenaline and cortisol out of balance. Now, how do you calculate protein requirements for a person at their ideal weight? So in general, you want to do about 1 to 1.5 grams of protein for every kilogram of body weight. And there's other calculations that you can do if you're more than 30 pounds overweight. So I need to work with you one-on-one to figure that out. Now, in general, let's go back to the big picture. So when you think about the big picture, again, metabolism is the sum total of the breaking down versus the building up processes in your body. So you want to stop for a moment and ask yourself, what builds you up? What builds you up? Eating small, frequent meals throughout the day, eating 3 balanced meals and 2 little snacks throughout the day. What I find from 31 years of experience, if I've got a client with damaged metabolism, if they break their meals down into small amounts and eat small amounts frequently, that works so much better than starving. It works so much better than eating 1 or 2 huge meals per day. calming and adaptive exercise like yoga, Tai Chi, and Qigong. And you can become incredibly strong while practicing these exercises and have a beautiful body without depleting yourself, without making yourself exhausted. Getting 8 hours of sleep, meditating, facing how stressed you actually are and doing something about it. Now, what breaks you down? High intensity exercise, jogging, triathlon, spinning classes, and boot camps. Not getting enough sleep. And again, I wear my Whoop so that I can keep myself balanced, and I can check every day or on a regular basis to see, am I over exercising? Am I overworking? Am I actually recovering from what I did yesterday? Drinking alcohol breaks you down. Eating refined sugar breaks you down, and skipping meals. Now, why is it critical to get out of adrenal burnout if we want to heal our metabolism? So in my book, Unlimited Energy Now, I talk about the 3 phases of adrenal burnout. So the first stage is alarm. So you're like, okay, I've got some stress here. The second stage is adaptation, which is where I would say most of my clients are. They've been so stressed for so long that your mind and body is almost accustomed, like, all right, I'm so used to running on adrenaline and being stressed out. I guess this is what life is like. And the final stage is wipeout or exhaustion. And again, you don't want to be in that phase. I've had clients who've told me on a good day, I get out of bed and brush my teeth. That you don't want that to be you, all right? So you have to understand that beginning in stage 2, your thyroid function starts to go down. Your ability to digest food starts to go down. And there is an inverse relationship between your cortisol and your thyroid hormones. So simply put, the more stressed out you are, the lower your thyroid function, okay? So again, maybe you don't need to join a boot camp. Maybe you need to join a meditation class. Maybe you don't need to starve yourself. Maybe you need to stop working 80 hours a week, right? Maybe you need to get enough rest. Now, when I am working with clients who want to heal their metabolism, I encourage them to focus on real carbohydrates. So what is a real carbohydrates? It's something that's picked or grown. So fruits and starchy vegetables. So if you listen to my earlier guidelines about how many carbs that you ought to be eating based on your metabolic type, and you're confused by that, then focus on getting the majority of your carbohydrates from fresh fruit and starchy vegetables. So, and again, if you spread your carbs throughout the day, it's going to be better for your metabolism, it's better for your energy. So I talked about, if you have a damaged metabolism, looking at about 125 grams of carbs total per day. So what's a 25-gram carbohydrate serving? 1 cup of brown rice, 1 small potato, 2/3 cup of lentils, or 1 cup of fresh fruit. Now, finally, as I conclude some general guidelines here about how to heal your metabolism, let's talk about the bigger picture. Why is it important to maintain a healthy metabolism throughout your life? When you maintain a healthy metabolism, you're going to maintain excellent health, you're going to maintain great energy, and you're going to avoid getting many of the degenerative diseases of aging. You may assume that because you're thin, that you have a healthy metabolism, but thin people don't always have a healthy metabolism. So just being thin, that's not a sign that you have a healthy metabolism. Likewise, if you're overweight, you may assume that you have a damaged metabolism. This is not always the case. So I work with clients all over the world to help you identify what metabolic type you are and what will actually work in your case to heal your metabolism. So I'm 65 years old. I'm about the same size that I was when I was 25, 28. And I know that because I have dresses that I owned when I was 28 that I can still fit into. And I don't struggle with my weight. I don't struggle with my energy, and I don't struggle with my health. This is why you want to maintain a healthy metabolism. It's just going to make your life easier and help you maintain excellent health. Thank you so much for listening. You've been listening to the Natural Healing Show for UK Health Radio. I'm your host, Catherine Carrigan, medical intuitive healer, Amazon #1 bestselling author. You can find out more about me and my work at catherinecarrigan.com and at limitedenergynow.com. While you're there, definitely sign up for my newsletter so you can learn even more about how you can heal yourself naturally. And again, if you want to read more about what I've talked about today, read or listen to the audiobook version of my book, my Amazon #1 bestseller, Unlimited Energy Now. And also you can read Dr. Diana Schwartzbein's book, The Schwartzbein Principle, Book 2. And remember that as you heal your metabolism, you heal your body naturally. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.